Get her out, my brother said, not even looking at me as the security guard's radio crackled and the elevator doors closed behind us. My name is Evelyn Hart, I'm 36. When did being the quiet one turn me into the disposable one? The hallway smelled like bleach and ocean salt drifting in from the open balconies upstairs, the kind of place postcards are made from. My brother stood barefoot on marble floors that used to belong to all of us. He smirked when the guard tightened his grip on my arm. Not angry. Worse. Amused. You never did anything with your life, he said lightly, like commenting on the weather. Outside it was 2 a.m. The ocean roared behind the building he now owned. I was pushed toward my car, then handed a thin envelope, my inheritance. Not deeds. Not keys. An address to a storage building on the edge of town. Abandoned. Uninsured. Forgotten. I didn't drive away. I went there. The building greeted me with silence so thick it pressed against my ears. I unlocked the door with a rusted key that resisted, like it didn't recognize me. Inside, the concrete floor was colder than the night air. I lay down anyway, my coat folded under my head, staring at the ceiling where cobwebs trembled. Somewhere between the hum of distant traffic and my own breathing, I realized something quietly devastating. They hadn't given me nothing. They had given me what they thought I'd never survive long enough to open. The cold crept into my bones slowly, politely, like it planned to stay. I didn't sleep so much as drift, eyes open, listening to the building breathe. Metal ticking as it cooled. A loose panel somewhere clicking like a nervous finger. The silence felt crowded. At dawn, pale light slipped through the high windows and landed on the floor beside me. Dust floated in it, gentle and mocking. I sat up, my back stiff, and noticed the panel again, the one near the far wall. It was sealed differently from the rest. Newer screws. Cleaner edges. As if someone had tried to make it disappear by pretending it belonged. I stood, joints aching, and ran my fingers over it. Cold metal. Familiar in a way that made my stomach tighten. My mother used to say, if you hide something long enough, it starts to rot. She'd said it while polishing her jewelry at the kitchen table, light flashing off stones she thought I wasn't watching. The screwdriver lay in an open toolbox nearby. That felt staged. Too neat. Like the building was holding its breath. The first screw came loose with a sharp snap. The sound echoed loud enough to make me freeze. I waited. Nothing. Just the building watching. When the panel finally gave way, it didn't creak. It sighed. Behind it was darkness, and the faint, unmistakable smell of old paper and velvet. My hands started to shake, not from cold this time. I reached inside before my mind could talk me out of it. My fingers brushed fabric first. Soft, dense, expensive. Velvet. Then paper. Stacked. Bundled. Too deliberate to be trash. I pulled one bundle out and sat on the floor, the concrete biting through my jeans. Rubber bands, brittle with age, snapped apart in my hands. Cash spilled into my lap. Real cash. Old bills. The kind people don't trust banks with. I laughed once, quiet, sharp, then covered my mouth like I'd said something wrong in church. Behind the cash were smaller boxes. Jewelry boxes. My mother's. I knew them the way you know a scar on your own body. The blue one with the chipped corner. The red one she never let anyone touch. Inside, her gold bracelet lay coiled like it was resting. Her earrings winked at me in the dim light, unashamed. The chair in the corner, one I hadn't noticed before, looked like it was waiting for me. I dragged it closer and sat, jewelry in my hands, cash at my feet, the morning light climbing the walls inch by inch. They hadn't forgotten this place. They had stored their fear here. And suddenly the condo by the ocean felt very small. I didn't touch anything else for a long time. I just sat there, the chair pressing into the backs of my legs, listening to the building wake up. Somewhere outside, a delivery truck hissed to a stop. Life continued. Mine had split quietly down the middle. I found an old ledger tucked behind the boxes. My father's handwriting. Dates. Amounts. Notes written in that careful way people use when they think no one will ever read it. Temporary storage. Until things settle. Don't tell her. My name appeared only once. Circled. Crossed out. A side door creaked open and shut in the distance. I flinched. Then laughed at myself. Even alone, I was still bracing for them. I packed the jewelry back exactly as I found it. Folded the cash into a single duffel bag and zipped it closed with care. Not greed. Precision. I wiped my fingerprints from the panel before sliding it back into place. The screwdriver went back in the toolbox. The building exhaled again, relieved. By the time the sun fully rose, I had made a decision that felt heavier than the bag in my hand. I wasn't going to confront anyone. I was going to listen. I showered at a 24-hour gym using a free trial I'd never planned to redeem. The hot water hit my skin like a confession. In the mirror, I barely recognized myself. Same face, different eyes. Quieter. Watching. By noon, I was sitting in a coffee shop across from the oceanfront condo. I didn't go inside. I didn't need to. The glass windows told me everything. My brother laughed with a realtor, pointing out views like they were trophies. He wore my father's watch. I wrapped my fingers around my cup until the heat hurt. My phone buzzed. A voicemail from my mother, sent hours earlier. I didn't play it. I saved it. Some words are more useful unopened. I spent the afternoon making calls, soft ones. To a lawyer who owed me a favor from years ago. To a banker who still remembered my name. To a storage facility clerk who didn't ask why I wanted the building transferred into a trust. Nobody asked why. Money has a way of smoothing curiosity. At sunset, I walked back to the abandoned building. I lit a single candle I found in a dusty drawer and set it on the floor. The flame reflected in the metal panel like a thin, steady eye. I wasn't angry anymore. I was ready. Night fell like a velvet curtain over the city. I returned to the condo, parking my car a block away. The ocean shimmered behind it, taunting. Inside, my brother had guests over, clinking glasses, laughter bouncing off marble floors. He was performing happiness, pretending the world was his. I watched through the hedge, unseen. I left a single envelope slipped under the doormat. Inside, a note and one photograph. My mother smiling at me, holding the ledger I'd found. No explanations, just a reminder that nothing stays hidden forever. By morning, whispers had begun. A friend of his came running to him, eyes wide. You didn't think she'd find it? They didn't know the half of it. They never would. I returned to the storage building, the candles still smoldering. I organized the cash, separated what I needed for a new start, and left the rest tucked neatly away. The jewelry glinted in the dim light like tiny beacons. Every piece was a story, a lesson, a quiet victory. I stepped outside, feeling the concrete under my feet, the wind carrying the scent of salt and old paper. Silence greeted me. Not empty, charged. Waiting. And I realized for the first time in years that I didn't need their validation. Their world could crumble quietly and I wouldn't flinch. The week passed like a slow tide. My brother's arrogance didn't falter. He assumed his victories were permanent. But permanence is a fragile thing when built on lies. Phone calls arrived quietly. A banker questioning transfers, a lawyer requesting documentation, whispers of inspections. Nothing dramatic. Just pressure, precise and unavoidable. I watched from my quiet apartment, overlooking the same ocean he flaunted, letting him perform his life while I orchestrated the edges of it. The storage building had become my anchor. A place where patience and silence were more powerful than anger. One evening, I mailed another envelope. This one went to a news outlet, anonymous. Inside, evidence of the condo's mismanagement, the ledgers, the hidden funds. I didn't watch the fallout. I didn't need to. I had learned long ago that some storms are louder when the wind isn't in your hands. At night, I returned to the building, lit a candle and traced my fingers over the jewelry, the cash, the panel I'd unlocked. Each item reflected more than wealth. It reflected clarity. The clarity that comes when you take what was denied to you and turn it into a quiet reckoning. I didn't feel triumph. Not exactly. I felt weight. Precision. The slow, steady pulse of justice without spectacle. I stood on the edge of the storage building one last time, the ocean wind lifting strands of hair across my face. The candle had burned down to a stub, but its glow lingered in my memory like a heartbeat. I took a deep breath and let the silence settle around me. Thick, unbroken, complete. Weeks later my brother called. His voice trembled, unfamiliar. No anger, just confusion, fear. The condo was under review. Hidden accounts were being accounted for. Friends and colleagues no longer greeted him the same way. Small doors he'd ignored were now opening on their own, revealing truths he had buried beneath arrogance. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. The oceanfront could mock him with its beauty. The wealth could elude him and still I would remain untouched, unseen, unbroken. That night, I arranged the jewelry in a small velvet box and tucked the last of the cash into my own account. My account, my future. The panels snapped shut behind me and I smiled quietly. Every secret they'd hidden, every slight, every word of dismissal had finally circled back. Not as destruction but as clarity. The sun rose over the water the next morning. And in its light I felt lighter than I had in decades. I had claimed more than money. I had claimed myself.